I'm Elena Morris, and I've built my reputation on making the impossible happen in 3-inch heels. Today, however, feels different. My hands shake as I grip the steering wheel, racing toward downtown Denver with a corporate contract worth more money than I've ever seen riding on tonight's pharmaceutical gala. The Cherry Creek car wash appears like salvation ahead. My Mercedes needs to sparkle for the investors flying in from New York. Time is everything in my world, and I'm already cutting it close. I pull into the bay behind a salt-crusted research van that looks like it survived an ocean expedition. The woman climbing out has sun-bleached blonde hair pulled into a messy ponytail, wearing cargo shorts despite the spring chill. She's completely absorbed in animated conversation with the attendant about sea turtle nesting patterns. And that's when the loggerhead population really starts to recover, she's saying, her blue eyes bright with passion. The protective legislation from 2019 changed everything. I check my watch. Damn. The van owner shows no signs of wrapping up her marine biology lecture. Excuse me, I call out. How long will this take? She turns, and something unexpected happens. Her genuine smile hits me like warm sunlight. Sorry, I get carried away talking shop. Her laugh is infectious. I'm Ruby, by the way. Marine biologist, obviously. Elena. Event planner. Obviously stressed. Ruby studies my tailored suit and perfect makeup. Big day? Potentially career-ending if I don't get there in time. She nods to the attendant. Make it quick, Tony. This lady's got important business. While we wait, Ruby shares footage from her phone of underwater coral formations. Her enthusiasm is magnetic. She describes diving conditions in the Pacific with the kind of detail that makes me forget about investor meetings and profit margins. You really love this stuff, I observe. It's not just love, she says softly, it's necessity. The ocean's dying, and most people don't even notice. When my car emerges gleaming, Ruby's still there. Want to grab coffee sometime? I promise to talk about something other than marine life. I hesitate. Coffee means complications. My schedule doesn't allow for complications. Actually, she adds with that smile again, I lied. I'll definitely talk about marine life. Against every professional instinct, I hear myself saying yes. 3 hours later, my pharmaceutical gala is a triumph. The investors are impressed, the contract signed. But as I shake hands with executives worth millions, I keep thinking about Ruby's passion for something that matters beyond profit. I save her number as Ruby, marine biologist, and immediately wonder if this chance encounter might change everything. 3 days pass before I work up the nerve to text Ruby. My life runs on precise schedules, client demands, and 5-year business plans. Coffee with a marine biologist feels like stepping into uncharted territory. We meet at a cozy cafe in the Arts District. She arrives wearing faded jeans and a Conservation Society t-shirt, looking effortlessly beautiful while I feel overdressed in my business attire. So tell me about your world, Ruby says, settling into her chair with genuine curiosity. What's it like orchestrating events for people with more money than sense? I laugh despite myself. That's harsh but accurate. Yesterday I spent 2 hours sourcing white roses that match a specific Pantone color. While I spent 2 hours untangling a sea turtle from fishing net debris. The contrast between our lives becomes stark as conversation flows. Her work saves creatures, mine serves corporate egos. Yet something about her perspective makes me question what I've built my entire career around. Ruby pulls out her tablet, showing me underwater footage from her recent expedition. This is off the California coast, about 60 feet down. The images are breathtaking. Schools of fish move like liquid silver through kelp forests. I find myself leaning closer, drawn not just to the footage but to Ruby's animated explanations. Look at this coral formation, she whispers, our faces inches apart. It took decades to grow, and one temperature change could destroy it. Her passion is intoxicating. When she turns to gauge my reaction, something electric passes between us. Without thinking, I close the distance between us, pressing my lips to hers. The kiss is brief but charged with possibility. Ruby's eyes widen with surprise, then soften with unmistakable interest. That was unexpected, she murmurs. Good unexpected, or bad unexpected? Very good unexpected. We separate reluctantly when the barista announces closing time. The world outside feels different somehow, full of new possibilities I've never allowed myself to consider. Walking to our cars, tension crackles between us. Elena, can I ask you something? Have you ever questioned what drives you? Like, really drives you beyond the surface? Her question hits deeper than intended. Every day, I admit, especially lately. Maybe that's where we start. Ruby's fingers brush mine as we say goodbye. The simple touch sends warmth racing through me, making me realize how long I've focused solely on professional success while neglecting everything else. That night, alone in my pristine apartment, I keep replaying our conversation and that unexpected kiss. Ruby's world seems authentic in ways mine has never been. She fights for something bigger than quarterly profits or client satisfaction. I find myself Googling marine conservation, reading about coral bleaching and ocean acidification until well past midnight. For the first time in years, something other than work captures my attention completely. When my phone buzzes with a text from Ruby sharing a documentary link about deep-sea exploration, I smile wider than any signed contract has ever made me. The Denver Aquarium feels different with Ruby as my guide. While families press against glass displays snapping photos, she leads me through back corridors where real work happens. Most people see entertainment, she explains, punching in security codes. I see rescue operations and breeding programs. Her access to restricted areas impresses me. We enter a dimly lit room where massive tanks house recovering sea turtles. Ruby's face glows in the blue-green light as she checks monitoring equipment. This girl arrived last month with severe shell damage from a boat propeller. She points to a turtle gliding gracefully through the water. 6 weeks of surgery and rehabilitation. Watching Ruby work, I'm struck by her gentle competence. She handles delicate equipment while explaining complex rehabilitation processes, her passion evident in every gesture. In the jellyfish exhibit, we stand mesmerized by translucent creatures pulsing through illuminated water. The hypnotic display creates an intimate bubble around us despite the crowds. They're ancient survivors, Ruby murmurs. No brain, no blood, 95% water. Yet they've thrived for over 500 million years. Maybe complexity isn't always better, I suggest. Our hands drift together naturally, fingers intertwining as we watch the ethereal dance. Ruby's thumb traces gentle circles on my palm, sending warmth up my arm. Later, sitting on a bench overlooking the main tank, I share something I've never told anyone. Sometimes I feel like I'm drowning in my own success. Every event has to be bigger, more elaborate, more expensive. Ruby listens without judgment, her green eyes reflecting understanding. What would happen if you just stopped? I don't know. That terrifies me. Fear isn't always a bad compass, she says softly. It points toward things that matter. The vulnerability in her voice draws me closer. When she turns to face me, moonlight streaming through the skylight catches her features perfectly. This time, I don't hesitate. Our second kiss is deeper, more intentional than the first. Ruby's lips taste like possibility and promise. Her hand finds my cheek, fingers threading through my hair as she pulls me closer. I've never felt this way about someone I just met, I whisper against her mouth. Maybe we didn't just meet, she replies. Maybe we finally found each other. The philosophical nature of her response should alarm me. Instead, it feels like the most natural thing in the world. Walking to the parking garage, Ruby shares her struggles with research funding and student loan debt. Her voice carries worry I haven't heard before. The university makes promises about supporting marine research, then cuts budgets when donors want flashier projects. How do you keep going? Because someone has to. Her determination is fierce. If we don't protect the oceans now, there won't be anything left to save. That night, we talk on the phone until 3 a.m. Ruby describes diving experiences while I share stories from high-pressure events. Our different worlds begin weaving together through late-night conversations that feel both intimate and infinite. Elena, Ruby says just before we hang up, thank you for seeing my work as important. Thank you for showing me what important actually looks like. As I drift off to sleep, I realize Ruby has awakened something I thought I'd buried years ago. Not just attraction, but genuine connection to purpose beyond profit margins. My last conscious thought is wondering how someone can change your entire perspective in just a few days. The auditorium at University of Colorado Denver buzzes with anticipation as Ruby adjusts her microphone. I sit in the back row, nervous for her despite my own expertise with public presentations. Watching her prepare to address potential donors feels intimate in ways I don't fully understand. Marine ecosystems face unprecedented threats, Ruby begins, her voice carrying confident authority I've never heard before. But innovative restoration techniques offer genuine hope. She clicks through slides showing before and after images of coral rehabilitation. Her passion transforms her from the casual woman I've been getting to know into a formidable scientist commanding respect. Dr. Ward's research represents exactly the kind of forward-thinking approach our foundation seeks, says a silver-haired woman in the front row. The coral grafting technique alone could revolutionize restoration efforts. Pride swells in my chest watching Ruby field complex questions with grace. She belongs in this world of serious academic discourse, fighting for causes that matter beyond quarterly profits. After her presentation, several donors approach with genuine interest. Ruby exchanges business cards and research proposals, but I notice her glancing toward me repeatedly. "You were incredible up there," I tell her as the crowd disperses. "I kept thinking about our conversation regarding purpose," she admits. "Having someone understand why this matters made all the difference." Walking across campus, she shares her vision for expanding coral restoration programs. Her enthusiasm is infectious, and suddenly I'm proposing something completely unprecedented. What if we organized a fundraising gala? Combine your research with my event planning expertise? Ruby stops walking, studying my face. "You'd really want to help?" "I want to be part of something meaningful for once." 2 weeks later, we're working side by side in my office, transforming donor outreach into an art form. Ruby provides scientific content while I handle logistics and presentation strategy. Professional collaboration deepens our personal connection in unexpected ways. "This sponsorship proposal is brilliant," Ruby says, leaning over my shoulder to review documents. Her proximity sends warmth through me, her scent a mixture of ocean air and subtle perfume. When she turns to comment on budget projections, we're suddenly face to face. The attraction that's been building for weeks crystallizes into undeniable need. This kiss is different from our previous gentle explorations. Ruby's hands tangle in my hair as I pull her closer, months of careful professional distance dissolving instantly. Her lips part out under mine, and I taste hunger that matches my own. We break apart, breathing hard, the office suddenly feeling too small and too public for what we both want. "My place isn't far," I whisper. Ruby's apartment reflects her personality perfectly. Research journals scattered across surfaces mix with diving equipment and underwater photography. We barely make it through the door before we're kissing again, urgency replacing hesitation. Later, wrapped in rumpled sheets with Denver's skyline glowing through her bedroom window, Ruby traces lazy patterns on my shoulder. Her touch is reverent, as if she's memorizing every detail. "I never expected this," she murmurs against my collarbone. "The fundraiser or this?" "Both. Everything." She lifts her head to meet my eyes. "You've changed how I see possibilities." In the morning, over coffee and stolen glances, Ruby reveals information that shifts our dynamic entirely. Her research funding has been more precarious than she's admitted. Student loans compound monthly, while equipment costs drain her savings. "I might have to abandon the coral project," she says quietly. "Find something more commercially viable." The defeat in her voice breaks something inside me. Here's someone fighting to save the world while drowning in debt, and I've spent years profiting from corporate excess. There has to be another way. "Not everyone has wealthy event planning clients," Ruby replies without bitterness. "Some of us work in fields that don't pay well despite their importance." Her words sting because they're true. My success has insulated me from the financial struggles facing people doing genuinely important work. That afternoon, I research marine biology funding while Ruby handles equipment maintenance. The gap between scientific significance and financial support is staggering. Brilliant researchers like Ruby struggle while frivolous corporate events command massive budgets. As evening approaches, I realize our relationship has evolved beyond simple attraction. Ruby's passion has awakened something in me I thought was permanently buried under layers of professional ambition. The call comes during our morning coffee, shattering the peaceful intimacy we've been building over the past 3 weeks. Ruby's face drains of color as she listens to whoever's on the other end. What do you mean permanently suspended? Her voice cracks with disbelief. Dr. Henderson, we were assured continuation through next fiscal year. I watch helplessly as Ruby's world crumbles through a 10-minute phone conversation. Budget cuts have eliminated her entire research program. Years of coral restoration work, gone. Her life's passion dismissed because marine biology doesn't generate immediate profit. They're keeping the cosmetic research programs, she says after hanging up, bitter laugh escaping her lips. Anti-aging serums from sea plankton get funding. Coral reef restoration gets cancelled. Ruby retreats to her bedroom, leaving me surrounded by coffee cups and the weight of her devastation. Through the thin walls, I hear muffled sobbing that tears at my heart. I spend the afternoon making calls, leveraging every contact in my network. But marine research exists in a different world from corporate event planning. My influence means nothing in academic funding. That evening, Ruby emerges hollow-eyed and eerily calm. I've been thinking about options. Something in her tone sets off warning bells. What kind of options? Marcus Chen reached out today. He's organizing a salvage operation off the California coast. I know that name. Marcus runs in circles where environmental protection laws are suggestions rather than requirements. His operations exist in legal gray areas that smart people avoid. Ruby, that's dangerous territory. He says there's significant compensation for marine expertise, enough to pay off my loans and fund independent research for years. The desperation in her voice terrifies me. What exactly would you be doing? Artifact recovery from protected waters. Technically illegal, but rarely prosecuted if done carefully. My blood freezes. Ruby's talking about risking her career, her freedom, everything she's worked toward. All because legitimate funding sources abandoned her. There has to be another way. Really? You think your corporate contacts want to fund coral research? Her laugh is sharp with hurt. Your world and mine don't mix, Elena. I was foolish to think otherwise. For the next week, tension builds between us. Ruby grows secretive, taking calls she won't explain and disappearing for hours without explanation. I try offering financial help, but her pride creates barriers I can't breach. I won't be your kept scientist, she says when I suggest a personal loan. I need to solve this independently. Her stubbornness is maddening, but I understand the need for autonomy. Still, watching someone I care about consider illegal activities feels like slow torture. The breaking point comes when I discover Ruby's been researching underwater salvage techniques and maritime law loopholes. Her browser history reveals planning that goes far beyond casual consideration. You're really going to do this? I confront her over dinner. I'm meeting with Marcus's team tomorrow night, just to discuss possibilities. And if they offer you the job? Ruby meets my eyes with painful honesty. I'll probably take it. That night, lying in her bed while she sleeps restlessly beside me, I realize how much Ruby has changed my life. Before meeting her, I measured success in dollars and client satisfaction. Now I understand what it means to fight for something larger than profit margins. But understanding doesn't prepare me for losing her to desperate choices. Ruby wakes before dawn, already dressed for her mysterious meeting. Elena, whatever happens, you need to understand something. What? Meeting you changed everything. You showed me what it feels like to be valued for who I am, not just what I can produce academically. Her words sound like goodbye. As she leaves, I'm consumed by helplessness watching someone I love make potentially life-destroying decisions. The scientific community that should support researchers like Ruby has failed her completely. Now she's turning to dangerous alternatives because legitimate options don't exist. I spend the day researching Marcus Chen's operation, discovering connections to illegal antiquities trafficking and environmental violations. Ruby's walking into a web far more dangerous than she realizes. By evening, my decision crystallizes. If Ruby insists on this path, she won't walk it alone. The abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of Denver feels like the wrong place for Ruby to be making life-altering decisions. I sit in my car across the street, watching her enter the building where Marcus Chen's crew has arranged their meeting. 45 minutes pass before I see her emerge, but something's wrong. Ruby's usual confident stride has been replaced by hesitant steps. She checks over her shoulder twice before reaching her car. I follow at a distance as she drives to a 24-hour diner on Colfax. Inside, she slumps in a corner booth, staring at documents spread across the table. Ruby. My voice startles her. Elena? What are you doing here? Watching out for someone I care about. I slide into the opposite seat, noting her pale complexion. How did it go? They offered me the job. Her voice lacks any enthusiasm. 50,000 up front, another 100, when the operation concludes. The numbers are staggering, enough to solve all her financial problems. But the artifacts they're targeting come from a protected marine sanctuary. We're talking about potential federal charges if caught. Ruby shows me underwater maps marking shipwreck locations. The sites contain historical artifacts worth millions on black markets, but disturbing them violates numerous environmental protection laws. These ecosystems took decades to establish around the wreckage, she explains. Removing artifacts could destroy entire reef communities. Then why consider it? Because I'm desperate, and desperate people make terrible choices. Her honesty cuts deep. Ruby's facing an impossible situation where financial survival conflicts with everything she believes. We order coffee neither of us wants and sit in uncomfortable silence. Finally, Ruby reaches across the table, her fingers intertwining with mine. I need you to know something before I make this decision. What? I love you. The words hang between us like a confession and an apology. I've never said that to anyone before, but I need you to know in case everything goes wrong. My heart races. Ruby, I love you too. Which is exactly why we're going to find another way. There is no other way. Yes, there is. We just haven't found it yet. Over the next hour, I outline every contact in my network, every favor I can call in, every possible funding source we haven't explored. Ruby listens with growing skepticism. Elena, marine research doesn't work like corporate event planning. You can't simply network your way to scientific funding. Her dismissal stings, but I understand her frustration. Still, watching her consider illegal activity feels like watching someone I love self-destruct. Give me 2 weeks, I plead. Before you commit to Marcus's operation, give me 2 weeks to explore legitimate alternatives. Ruby studies my face for long moments. 2 weeks changes nothing. The academic year is ending, and my loans compound daily. Then we'll find private funding, environmental organizations, conservation foundations, wealthy donors who care about ocean preservation. You really think your world has people who fund marine research without expecting immediate returns? I think my world has people I've never asked the right questions. Ruby's phone buzzes with a text from Marcus requesting her decision by tomorrow night. The deadline adds pressure neither of us needs. Promise me something, I say, squeezing her hands. If you decide to take Marcus's job, don't go alone. Elena, you can't be involved in this. I'm already involved. I love you, which means your problems are our problems. Later, back at Ruby's apartment, we make love with desperate intensity. Every touch feels like we're memorizing each other against an uncertain future. Ruby's lips find mine with urgency that speaks to the danger we're both sensing. Afterward, lying in the darkness, Ruby traces patterns on my skin while sharing her deepest fears. I became a marine biologist to save something beautiful, she whispers. Now I'm considering destroying it for money. You're considering survival, I correct. There's a difference. Is there? Marcus's people don't care about environmental protection. They see dollar signs where I see ecosystems. Then we make sure you never have to work with them. Ruby's laugh is hollow. Your optimism is beautiful, but some problems can't be solved through positive thinking. The next morning, I start making calls before Ruby wakes up. My first conversation is with Margaret Whitfield, a wealthy widow whose pharmaceutical fortune came from obscure marine compounds. Ocean research, you say? Margaret's interest surprises me. My late husband always believed the sea held answers to medical breakthroughs we haven't discovered. By noon, I have 3 potential meetings scheduled with private donors who might fund Ruby's work. It's not guaranteed, but it's hope. Ruby returns from another meeting with Marcus, this time looking even more troubled. They want an answer tonight. My phone rings at 6 a.m. with news that changes everything. Marcus Chen's salvage operation has been under federal surveillance for months. Ruby's name appears in intercepted communications, flagging her as a potential co-conspirator in environmental crimes. Ms. Morris, we need to discuss your relationship with Dr. Ruby Ward, Agent Sarah Martinez explains during an emergency meeting at my office. Financial records show several transactions between you that coincide with her involvement in illegal salvage planning. The irony is devastating. My attempts to help Ruby have created evidence linking us both to criminal activity. Every dinner I paid for, every gift I bought, now appears as potential money laundering in a federal investigation. Ruby isn't a criminal, I insist. She's a desperate scientist whose funding was cut. Desperate people make dangerous choices, Martinez replies coldly. Your girlfriend is about to become an accessory to federal environmental crimes. The word girlfriend spoken in this context makes my stomach drop. Our relationship, which should be private and precious, has become evidence in a criminal case. After the agents leave, I call Ruby immediately. We need to talk. Now. She arrives within an hour, already knowing something's wrong from my tone. When I explain about the federal investigation, she sinks into a chair with her head in her hands. This is exactly what I feared, she whispers. Getting involved with Marcus's operation was going to destroy everything. It gets worse. They think I'm funding your involvement somehow. Ruby's head snaps up. What? Elena, you're not involved in any of this. Tell that to the financial records showing I've spent thousands on you over the past month. The implications sink in slowly. My event planning business depends entirely on reputation and client trust. A federal investigation into environmental crimes could destroy everything I've built. You need to distance yourself from me, Ruby says quietly, immediately. Absolutely not. Elena, be rational. I'm about to be arrested, and they're building a case against you too. Walk away while you still can. Her willingness to sacrifice our relationship to protect me should be romantic. Instead, it feels like another abandonment in a year full of them. I'm not abandoning you. Then you're more foolish than I thought. The harsh words sting, but I understand her desperation. Ruby's trying to push me away to save my career, just like she tried to solve her funding crisis alone. Over the next 3 days, we barely speak while I research federal environmental law, and Ruby contemplates her limited options. The distance between us grows despite sharing the same apartment. Margaret Whitfield calls with devastating news. The private donors I'd contacted have withdrawn interest after learning about the federal investigation. Nobody wants to fund research connected to potential criminal activity. I'm sorry, dear, Margaret explains. The liability is simply too great. That evening, Ruby makes a decision that breaks my heart. She starts packing her belongings, preparing to disappear before formal charges are filed. Running makes you look guilty, I argue. Staying makes you an accomplice. Watching her fold dive equipment and research journals into boxes feels like watching our future dissolve. Every item represents shared dreams now turning to ash. Ruby, please. We can fight this together. She stops packing long enough to move closer, her hands framing my face with infinite gentleness. Elena, you've given me something I never expected to find. Real love. Someone who saw value in my work beyond profit potential. Then don't throw it away. Our kiss tastes like goodbye and regret. Ruby's lips linger on mine as if she's memorizing the moment before everything changes. I have to protect what matters most, she whispers against my mouth. And what matters most is your future. My future is with you. Not if I destroy it first. The next morning, I wake to an empty apartment. Ruby has disappeared, leaving only a note explaining she's turning herself into federal authorities to clear my name from the investigation. Her sacrifice should feel noble. Instead, it feels like the ultimate betrayal. She's decided our relationship's fate without consulting me, just like she decided to work with Marcus's crew. Agent Martinez calls that afternoon with mixed news. Dr. Ward has provided substantial cooperation regarding the salvage operation. However, the investigation into your financial involvement continues. What does that mean? It means your girlfriend may have saved herself, but you're still a person of interest. Ruby's attempt to protect me has partially backfired. While her cooperation helps the federal case against Marcus Chen, suspicion about my role persists due to our financial connections. That night, alone in Ruby's apartment among abandoned research materials, I realize how completely our lives have become entangled with forces beyond our control. The phone rings near midnight. Ruby's voice sounds hollow and defeated. Elena, I'm sorry. Where are you? Somewhere safe. I can't tell you more than that. This isn't over. It has to be. For both our sakes. 2 weeks without Ruby feels like living underwater. Every morning I wake expecting to find her making coffee, only to face empty silence. The federal investigation continues, but determination replaces despair as I realize something important. Love means fighting, not surrendering. My event planning network becomes a weapon of research rather than profit. Client databases reveal connections I never considered. Environmental lawyers, federal prosecutors, investigative journalists, people who understand systemic corruption better than I ever have. Marcus Chen has operated in legal gray areas for years, explains David Kim, an environmental attorney whose wedding I organized last spring. But he's always stayed one step ahead of prosecution. What would it take to bring him down? Evidence of systematic environmental destruction. Proof he's damaging protected ecosystems for profit. The answer crystallizes into action. If Ruby won't let me save her directly, I'll destroy the source of her problems entirely. Marcus operates from a marina warehouse, where legitimate marine research equipment mingles with salvage gear used for illegal operations. Getting inside requires skills I've developed through years of event planning, charm, confidence, and the ability to belong anywhere. I arrive dressed as a potential investor, carrying documents suggesting interest in underwater archaeology ventures. Marcus greets me personally, his predatory smile confirming every negative impression I've formed. Dr. Ward mentioned you might be interested in our research partnerships, he lies smoothly. Ruby speaks highly of your environmental consciousness. His laugh reveals exactly how much environmental protection matters to him. Dr. Ward brings scientific credibility to our operations. Legitimacy is valuable in our business. For the next hour, Marcus unknowingly provides detailed evidence of his illegal activities. I record everything through a hidden device David Kim provided, documenting systematic violations of marine protection laws. These artifacts come from protected sanctuaries, Marcus explains, showing me recovered items, but enforcement is minimal in international waters. What about environmental damage? Collateral damage. The profit margins justify temporary ecosystem disruption. His casual dismissal of environmental destruction makes my blood boil, but I maintain professional composure while gathering evidence. The breakthrough comes when Marcus shows me underwater footage from recent operations. Coral formations destroyed for artifact access, marine life displaced by heavy equipment, entire reef ecosystems damaged beyond repair. Ruby would be devastated seeing this, I observe. Dr. Ward's conscience is inconvenient but manageable. Financial pressure ensures cooperation. His words confirm my worst fears about Ruby's situation. Marcus has been manipulating her desperation, using financial crisis to force participation in activities that violate everything she believes. That evening, I meet David Kim and Agent Martinez at a downtown restaurant. The recorded evidence I've gathered exceeds expectations for building a federal case. This could shut down Chen's entire operation, Martinez confirms, but we need Dr. Ward's testimony to connect all the pieces. Where is she? Safe house outside Denver. She's been providing information, but formal testimony requires her physical appearance in court. The next phase requires more courage than I've ever needed. Confronting Ruby means facing her anger about my involvement, but some fights are worth having. The safe house sits in the mountains west of Denver, isolated among pine trees and federal security. Ruby answers the door wearing clothes I've never seen, her face pale from weeks of stress. Elena, you shouldn't be here. We need to talk. Don't tell me you're still trying to fix this. I'm telling you I've already fixed it. Over the next hour, I explain everything I've discovered about Marcus's operation. Ruby listens with growing horror, as I described the environmental damage she would have been complicit in causing. He showed you the coral destruction footage? 27 minutes of systematic ecosystem demolition. Ruby sinks into a chair, finally understanding the full scope of Marcus's environmental crimes. I would have been responsible for destroying everything I've spent my career trying to protect. But you're not responsible. You walked away before causing any damage. Elena, why did you risk everything to gather this evidence? Because I love you, and love means fighting for what matters. She crosses the room in 3 quick strides, pulling me into a kiss that tastes like relief and renewed hope. Her hands tangle in my hair as she presses closer, months of separation dissolving under desperate need for connection. Later, wrapped together on the small couch, while mountain winds whistle outside, Ruby traces gentle patterns on my shoulder. Her touch carries gratitude and something deeper. I thought I'd lost you forever, she whispers. You tried to push me away to protect me. It felt like the only option. The only option is facing problems together. 3 days later, Marcus Chen is arrested based on evidence I provided and Ruby's detailed testimony. His entire salvage operation collapses under federal prosecution, eliminating the illegal alternative that nearly destroyed Ruby's career. The aftermath brings unexpected opportunities. Margaret Whitfield calls with news that changes everything. The environmental foundation my husband established has reviewed Dr. Ward's research proposals. We're prepared to offer full funding for her coral restoration project. Ruby stares at the funding letter in disbelief. 3 years of independent research, full equipment budget, no institutional oversight. You'll be saving coral reefs instead of destroying them for Marcus. That night, celebrating our victory at the same diner where Ruby once contemplated illegal activities, she reaches across the table to capture my hands. Elena, you completely changed the trajectory of my life. We changed each other's trajectories. I love you for fighting when I wanted to surrender. Her words carry weight of shared struggle and emerging hope. Outside, Denver's lights twinkle like promise of futures we're finally free to build together. 6 months pass like a dream I never want to wake from, standing in my redesigned office, surrounded by marine conservation posters instead of corporate client portfolios. I barely recognize the woman I used to be. Ruby's Coral Research Station officially opens next week. My event planning expertise has transformed from organizing pharmaceutical galas to coordinating environmental fundraisers. The work feels authentic in ways I never imagined possible. Elena, the Pacific Marine Foundation confirmed their attendance. Ruby calls from her temporary desk. Dr. Harrison specifically wants to discuss expanding coral grafting programs. Watching her coordinate with international marine biologists brings pride that surpasses any corporate contract I ever landed. Ruby has become everything she dreamed of being, and I played a part in making it possible. Margaret Whitfield's foundation funding has exceeded expectations. Ruby's research station features state-of-the-art equipment, underwater photography studios, and rehabilitation tanks for injured marine life. More importantly, it represents independence from academic institutions that failed her. Remember when you thought marine research and event planning couldn't mix? I tease. I was wrong about many things. Ruby's smile carries warmth that still catches my breath, especially about not needing anyone. Our professional collaboration has strengthened our personal relationship in unexpected ways. Working toward shared goals eliminates the tension between Ruby's passion and my pragmatism. We've found balance between idealism and practicality. The opening ceremony attracts marine biologists, environmental donors, and political figures who support ocean conservation. Watching Ruby present her coral restoration research to an engaged audience feels like witnessing destiny unfold. Dr. Ward's work represents hope for reef systems worldwide, Senator Patricia Williams announces during her speech. Private foundation support proves environmental research deserves investment. After the ceremony, Ruby and I walk along Cherry Creek Reservoir, where our journey began in the car wash line. The setting sun paints water in shades of gold and amber, creating perfect backdrop for conversations about our future. Elena, I need to ask you something important. Her serious tone makes my pulse quicken. After everything we've survived together, I can't imagine what would cause her nervousness. What is it? Ruby stops walking, turning to face me with expression that mixes determination and vulnerability. 6 months ago, you saved my career and possibly my life. You risked everything to fight for us when I wanted to surrender. You would have done the same for me. Maybe, but you actually did it. She reaches into her jacket pocket, producing a small velvet box. Elena Morris, will you marry me? The ring inside bears a sapphire surrounded by small diamonds, blue as ocean depths where Ruby conducts her research. Tears blur my vision as months of struggle crystallize into perfect moment. Yes, I whisper, then louder, yes, absolutely yes. Ruby's hands shake slightly as she slides the ring onto my finger. When she stands to kiss me, I taste joy mixed with relief that we've survived everything life threw at us. I love you for seeing possibilities when I only saw problems, she murmurs against my lips. I love you for showing me what matters beyond profit margins. Later that evening, celebrating our engagement at Ruby's research station, we sit surrounded by tanks of rehabilitating sea creatures and maps of coral restoration sites. The space represents everything we've built together. Ruby's scientific passion supported by my organizational skills, environmental protection funded through strategic networking. Do you ever regret leaving corporate event planning? Ruby asks. Never. Organizing pharmaceutical galas felt empty compared to this. I gesture toward research equipment and conservation charts. This work has meaning beyond immediate profit. Even if it pays less? Love isn't measured in dollars, and neither is fulfillment. Ruby's smile tells me she understands completely. We've both discovered that success means different things when shared with someone who matters. 6 months from tonight, we'll exchange vows at a ceremony combining marine biology colleagues with my former corporate contacts who've discovered environmental philanthropy. Margaret Whitfield has insisted on hosting the reception at her estate, claiming she's never seen love story with better outcome. But tonight, sitting beside Cherry Creek while Denver lights reflect on water like scattered stars, Ruby and I plan our future with confidence built through surviving impossible challenges together. Mrs. Elena Ward has a nice sound, Ruby suggests playfully. Or Dr. Ruby Morris, I counter. We have time to decide. We have all the time in the world, she agrees, pulling me closer as evening settles around us. The woman who once measured success solely through quarterly profits now finds meaning in coral conservation and shared dreams. Ruby taught me that real wealth comes from fighting for something larger than personal advancement. As we walk back to our car, hands intertwined, an engagement ring catching moonlight, I realize this ending is actually a beginning. Everything we've built together creates foundation for futures we never imagined possible. Ruby stops beside her research van, the same vehicle that introduced us through car wash impatience and a marine biologist's infectious enthusiasm. Full circle moments feel like destiny acknowledging our determination. Ready to go home? She asks. I'm already home, I reply, meaning it completely.